So what are your thoughts on EPUB 3, HTML5, and standalone book apps? How do all of those work together, or are they competing against each other?
Yeah, well, I think we're at a point of divergence. It's slow divergence, but I think what we're going to see in each of those categories is different kinds of books gravitate to different kinds of formats. So I think the majority of books in the future won't be customized apps, and the ones that will get developed into apps are those that really feel more app-like. They're the ones that really feel like they need to provide more interactivity, more manipulation of objects and things that only apps can do. I mean, I'm thinking about things like studies of astronomy or anatomical models, or things where you really, you want to let the user really get in there and dig through. Now, as EPUB 3 comes and more of the e-reading platforms adopt it, I think we're going to start seeing EPUB books do app-like things, but not quite as complex and as customized as the apps. Not to, one of the biggest reasons is because of the cost of development. To create apps, to really do a nice app, especially a one-off, a customized production, is north of $100,000.
Right.
And the fact is that most publishers, the familiarity that they have right now are with technologies like HTML and JavaScript and CSS, and that's what goes into EPUB 3. Now, as far as HTML5 goes, that's still a bit of a wild card. There's one publisher, I want to say Scientific America, who's recently experimented with, it's Nature, who's recently experimented with they call it a living textbook. It's a biology textbook that they've done in HTML5 that they're going to continuously update. The question really, I think, is more of a transactional one. Are people willing to pay for web-based content? To date, they've proven largely reluctant to do so, but as HTML5 starts getting more complex and more fully supported, I think we're going to start seeing more, some experimentation.
Do feature-rich apps scale? I mean, are publishers in a position now where they've got to basically start from scratch?
I think so. I think, I've been having this discussion actually quite a bit recently, and I think it's really starting to become a kind of top-of-mind question for a lot of publishers who've experimented once or twice with some pretty substantial customized apps that have cost north of $100,000, and they've either had some success or they've failed completely to sell any. But what they're left with are these really expensive productions, and then the question is, well, can I use this again in some of my other titles? And I think in most cases, as much as wishful thinking would suggest that they want to reuse the code base and the information architecture and all and so on, they're really not. It's like taking a movie and saying, I want to be able to reuse the movie. Now, what I think we will see for those publishers who are interested on a consistent basis in developing apps are movie studio-like areas of expertise. So they'll have art directors who are comfortable in doing interactive art, and they'll have copywriters who can work on in an app-like medium. But I'm highly skeptical that publishers themselves are going to start developing in-house app development capabilities, because as that production becomes more complex and keeps getting more complex over the next couple years, as Windows 8 Metro comes into the picture, and Android and iPhone, it's too expensive for publishers who frankly have a challenging enough time keeping up with just straight EPUB publishing.
What impact do you think the Amazon tablet's going to have?
I think the tablet is going to, the Kindle tablet or whatever they end up calling it, will sort of be fighting a fight on two fronts. One against the Color Nook and one against the iPad. And against the iPad, I think they're really going to be competing for the attention and the purchasing decision of people who aren't ready or interested in spending $500, $600, $700. From everything we've been hearing, the Amazon tablet's going to come in at $250 and do quite a bit with all of the media and content that Amazon has been assembling, over the past couple years. That will then bring them in direct competition with the Color Nook, which sells for $250, surprise, surprise. And I think it's really going to be challenging for Barnes & Noble, because Barnes & Noble, while they've really, accomplished quite a bit with the Color Nook and gotten great reviews and people love it and they're selling quite a bit, they don't have the full collection of content and services that Amazon is able to offer.
Last question for you, and it's a big question. Do you envision a future where publishers, as we currently define that term, that whole notion is irrelevant?
I think the short answer is no. I'm currently writing a book, and it happens to be for O'Reilly, and I'm facing on a daily and weekly and monthly basis a sort of this sort of question of, well, what is O'Reilly doing for me? If I can be so bold to say that in the middle of an interview with O'Reilly. And I think, without a doubt, the relationship between a publisher and an author are changing. And frankly, when I think about my own case, what I'm getting out of my relationship with O'Reilly are things like a platform to publicize and tell my story about what I'm writing about, which is the future of books. I get technological support. We're developing an EPUB 3 version that I could do on my own, but would be pretty expensive to do. What I don't get, and I think no author really, or few authors get nowadays, is a lot of hand-holding, a lot of individual attention, a lot of minute line editing and daily phone calls saying, go, 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 you're great, you're that stuff. We're all trying to make money now and get projects done in this new digital world. And I think an author needs to go into these writing projects with this expectation that they're going to have to do as much work for the publisher and for the book as the publisher is doing for them.
Right. Interesting. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.